Good Karma brand station. It's time for the best 60 minutes of your life. This is the Homer Hour, broadcasting live from the Gruber Law Office's One Call That's All studio at the Avenue in downtown Milwaukee, alongside former Packer Brian Balaga. Here's Emmy Award winner Homer.
The best 60 minutes of your day, the Homer Hour. Normally the Brian Balaga Homer Hour, but he's off. Normally Jay Bilas, normally Jason Will is here. He's off. Nobody works this week, and they like to take off the week of the All-Star game. And I want to have Jay Bilas on so that we can put it online and then people can listen to it up until the start of college basketball, because he'll tell us what the situation is. Ever since NIL hit, I thought the game was done. Jay Bilas said, calm down, Homer. It's okay. It's okay. And I'm wondering if he's going to say the same thing now that schools are now paying players. Jay Bilas, good evening.
Good evening, Homer. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm actually very happy because this is what I need and what I think college sports fans need. Though I do have one problem. I'm not sure how to introduce you. I saw that when you did the draft, they said you were a four-time starter at Duke. And then, I don't know, and then you were a finalist. I mean, you were starting center in the NCAA championship game against Louisville. And I thought, no, what it should be there is, and I can't remember if you took on Barney, the big purple dinosaur, or you defended him. But as a lawyer, did you defend him or go against him?
I was against him.
Correct.
Barney, the people that owned Barney the Purple Dinosaur back in the, mid to late 90s were suing people all over the country to try to protect their trademark and copyright. So I represented one of the companies that was being sued by Barney. So we basically fought off the evil purple dinosaur and actually wound up winning at the trial level. So it was interesting. And the problem was, Homer, my kids were little at the time, so they were Barney fans. And I had to listen to that nonsense all day long or all night long. And then I'd go to work, and I had it as my main gig for about, 6 months. The trial took a while preparing for it, and then the appeal at the Fourth Circuit level. So it was a lot of Barney that I probably didn't need at that time in my life.
All right. So maybe I think joining us now is Jay Bilas. He took on and whipped Barney, the big purple dinosaur, many years ago in another life as a successful attorney. Jay, good evening. How does that sound?
It sounds great. It's good to be with you again.
All right. Let's just start with the facts. You had this court case, and now it's been resolved. Or what are the facts of what's going on, and what is the situation as college sports get started with first football and then basketball?
Well, I guess you could go to the nuts and bolts of there was a case called House versus the NCAA and the five major conferences in college sports, and it was an antitrust case. Which alleged that all of the NCAA institutions and the five conferences had essentially colluded to put an illegal wage ceiling on players, and that wage ceiling was at zero. They weren't allowed to be paid by the schools or any other entity beyond what the NCAA allowed, with a scholarship and a stipend and the like. And I think the NCAA realized pretty quickly that they were going to lose that case. So they wound up reaching a settlement with the plaintiffs, and it was a class action antitrust case. And so as part of the settlement, AA and the conferences are paying $2.8 billion in back damages to athletes as part of the class going back to, I think, 2016. I don't know exactly what the breakdown of how that money is going to be paid out and to whom and how much to each person. It'll differ depending on the value that each player or each athlete may have brought. And then there's a forward-looking component of the settlement that allows schools now to pay athletes up to $20.5 million per school in the first year. And that amount goes up by, I think, is an escalator of 4% per year for the first couple of years. And then they recalculate the revenues that are coming in to make sure that the players are getting the fair value of what is now the $20.5 million going forward. So there's an argument to be made that that's going to make things cleaner and easier. So the collectives are not as big a part of this. even though the collectives are still going to exist and players can still make money in third-party NIL. But the schools now theoretically can sign players to contracts. So you can sign a player to take Marquette, for example, and we'll use Cam Jones because he's already gone. But if Shaka were recruiting Cam Jones now, they could say, hey, Cam, we want to sign you to a 4-year deal or a 3-year deal with an option for a 4th year. Here's what we're going to pay you. But there's going to be a buyout in there, and there are going to be conditions on academic performance and things like that. You can certainly do that. And that would help alleviate some of the transfer concerns that many people have, because when a player is not being paid and not under contract and not acting as an employee, they can't tell them they can't transfer. That would be an antitrust, or could very well be seen as an antitrust violation and be illegal itself. So you sign them to a contract just like you would Shaka Smart, and it makes it, you put a buyout in there, it makes it much more difficult, much more costly to leave.
Talking with Jay Bilas, is that occurring yet?
Yes, it is. I can't speak, Homer, to how many players are currently being signed to contracts. I know there was a lot going on leading up to the settlement of schools trying to reach deals with collectives, with players to get those deals in place before the settlement was reached, so they could actually pay the players a little bit more than they would be able to otherwise. That's just a function of there not being a settlement in place when those deals were reached. But going forward, I think we're going to see that. I think you're going to see contracts being signed, and that gives everybody, including the players, a little more certainty as to what these deals are going to be, and it'll allow some retention. What you're also going to see as part of the settlement, Homer, is schools like roster sizes are going to be reduced. So everybody will be allowed a scholarship now in any sport, but the amount of roster spots is going to be reduced. So football have 85, basketball have like 13 or whatever it is. And so you'll see fewer spots available. So life may be different for future walk-ons. There won't be as many walk-on spots, things like that. They'll still exist. But, if you were a walk-on at Kentucky, maybe you'll have to be a player at Ball State or something like that. You may see things like that happen.
Talking with Jay Bilas, I ask you this every time we've talked, and that is, should people be worried? What do you want to tell the average college fan about what's the same, what's different? Every time we've talked, you've always said, calm down, Homer. They're making, if I have this right, $16 billion. They'll figure out a way. That's what happens when you make that much money. Did I have what you say correct?
Yeah, except for the amount. They're making way more than $16 billion.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it is such a multi-billion-dollar entertainment industry. Well, and I don't mean to be snarky when I ask this, but I would ask any fan to say, why do you care what the players make? And because you didn't.
I can answer that. I can answer that.
Okay.
Jay, I've followed college sports. And I understand not everybody goes to class, but they were like student athletes. There was a connection to that person and the university. Right now, they're pros. Like, I'm Homer. As much as I like Marquette basketball, I'm as much as a student athlete at Marquette as those basketball players are. And that doesn't feel right. That's not the world it's been. They're just professionals that are representing Marquette, which is fine, but it's so different. And your response is?
My response would be it may be different, but they were pros before, and they, by that definition, they've never been student athletes. There's no such thing as a student athlete.
I agree with that. But look at the guy's making $1 million. I don't feel a connection if I'm a student with him. I don't know. Do you feel a connection with a 19-year-old? And, how would you have been? What feeling would you have had with the other students at Duke if you're walking around as a freshman making $1 million?
It would have been the same, except I would have had money in my pocket instead of being scrounging around for the money to buy a pizza. And if we're so worried about that, why don't we restrict every student from making any money while they're in school? Like Mark Zuckerberg didn't have a problem making money while he was at Harvard.
Correct.
And nobody seemed to worry about that. Look, this is a little bit different, and I realize in our society we have a thing where people say, I'd be happy getting just this. Why do you want more than that? I get that, but you don't have to take the money if you don't want to. And if you're happy not making it yourself, then you don't take it. None of this stuff. I guess I have the biggest problems with this whole thing saying, all right, we all want the players to have the college experience and to have things the way they were back in the 1960s or 1970s, at least the way we thought they were. And the way it was sold to us. But the way it was sold to us was a lie. These players, whether they're paid or not, are employees of the university. Okay. And each school has to decide the standard to which they're going to hold their athletes and all their students. As long as the players are doing their homework and getting their degrees, why do we care whether they make money or not? To me, I don't care, because it didn't seem to bother anybody. When I played for Coach K at Duke, he probably made $100,000 a year. Later on in his career, he was making $10+ million a year, and nobody seemed to have a problem with that because of how big college sports got. And they were like, well, wait a minute, this is making a lot of money, therefore he deserves it. Why don't the players deserve it? And to me, if you want to run the business this way, you have to acknowledge that the players have a tremendous amount of value, and we're seeing that now. Now that they can be compensated, they are being compensated. The market is speaking. And what I see, Homer, and look, there will always be cases where in any endeavor people make money and they don't make the right decisions with it. We can make the same argument about driving. Some people don't drive as well as they should. They don't maintain their cars. They drive under the influence. They make mistakes doing that. But the overwhelming majority of people who drive do just fine. And the overwhelming majority of athletes that make money are benefiting, not being a problem with it. So, all the games are played on time. We've had great years the last several. We had the best NCAA tournament we've had in a long time, and guys were making a lot of money. And they're benefiting from it. They're savvier now. They've got, sort of financial acumen now. They're learning about business, and they're generating wealth. And why should we restrict them from that? I just don't see a good reason. If we want this to be like it was 50 years ago, then Marquette and Duke and all these other places should run their programs like Division II, and they don't. They want the big money themselves. The universities want it. The coaches want it. The administrators want it. Nobody's pulled back. Nobody said, hey, I'm out. I'm not doing this. We'll be like the University of Chicago, and we're going to go Division II. Nobody's done that. Ohio State is not playing Amherst in the shoe for free admission because this offends their sensibilities. Everybody's all in on this, and the players deserve their share of it. I've always felt that way. I felt that way when I was a player, and I feel that way now.
I'm certainly in that camp and have been for a long time. The reason I brought that up is I think the only concern or worry would be that fans won't be as attracted to it. It's clear they don't have any problem with whatever has existed the last few years at all. So if the fans still want to see their schools with the players representing the school or however you want to describe them, everything's great. I just thought there might be a certain fan group, a percentage, that says this isn't college sports. This is professional sports. It's like AAA baseball, and nobody's making the kind of money in AAA baseball. And we know that's because people feel a great affinity and love for the school they went to. But if fans like it, then it's going to keep making billions, and that's fine.
And it is. And we've seen in the last few years, fans haven't turned away. There are actually more viewers than we had prior to NIL. At least the ratings have been up. And interest has been up in football and men's basketball and women's basketball and in other sports. So it clearly doesn't bother anybody. And if it didn't bother anybody when these conferences were signing multi-billion-dollar TV contracts, and I hear, the point that you make quite a bit. This is like minor league baseball right now. And I'll push back on that a bit saying, no, this is like major league baseball. Minor leagues don't have multi-billion-dollar television contracts.
Right. There's no
pay
interest.
their coaches millions of dollars. This has been a major league sport
But
for
the schools have never paid them before. NIL, everybody else was a ruse. It was really paying the players. But right now is the first time that schools have ever directly paid the players, right? And now it may make no impact on the fans again, but it is different this year than has ever happened before, right?
It's different, but to the earlier point, it's like, why do you care? Like, you don't care how much assistant coaches make. Nobody's boycotting over. It doesn't matter. What difference does it matter? Every student can make whatever they can earn in the marketplace.
They're
not
correct.
Restricted.
Yeah.
The only person restricted was an athlete. And, my daughter went when she was in college, she was a professional artist. She still is, but she made money while she was in school and was celebrated for it. She wasn't making millions of dollars, but it's the same principle. These guys are worth a lot of money. And there's no reason, like, they're still being restricted. Like this $20.5 million.
That was going to be my next question.
Yeah, this is not going to last very long. This probably, and I'm just guessing at this, but I think the NCAA's probably got 5 years to figure out a long-term structure. And there's one of two ways I believe they can go. They can either bargain collectively with the players like the NFL and the NBA do, where
they
the
don't
players
want to do
agree
that.
to a structure. Well, I don't know why they wouldn't, because the players would agree to a structure. Or they can go to Congress and beg Congress, which they're doing right now. They're lobbying Congress for a federal law that would sort of preempt all these state laws and take them out of antitrust scrutiny. Maybe they'll be successful there, but that's their best shot. But what I think will happen is once they get in front of Congress, Congress is going to ask them, well, wait a minute, if we're going to restrict the players, we should be restricting the coaches and the administrators too. So say goodbye to all those $10 million salaries. We're going to make this reasonable too. If you want reasonableness among the players, you're going to get reasonableness across the board.
Talking with Jay Bilas, and I could take it for 3 hours, but I won't. How is anybody, now we're talking about being fans, how can anybody know if a team's going to be good? How do you judge recruiting? You're following the basketball now in the SEC, which some would argue is the greatest conference ever. I don't think it is. When the ACC and other conferences had 8 teams and all 8 were great and players lasted longer, they were just to me so much better. But that just means I'm old, I guess. You want to agree with me on that?
I actually think that doesn't mean that you and I are old. That I think a lot of people look back on the old days when we were younger as being better automatically. And I happen to believe the SEC this last year was the best conference in the history of college basketball. There have been other years where you could argue the top 4 teams were better than last year, but you've never seen a league that had 16 teams across the board that were that good. It was remarkable what they did. Now, will they do it again this year? I don't know. Your point is a fair one about, how do we know who's going to be good? But the truth is, like, I'm a football fan, but I don't follow it religiously. I have no idea who's going to be good.
You're the same teams.
Yeah, not always.
Based on the coaches.
Sometimes, but we're seeing a lot of change in football because you can't stockpile players anymore. Yeah. The backups that used to go to Alabama and be content to be a backup for a period of time are now going to Texas A&M or somewhere else for a bigger payday, and we're seeing talent spread out more. So it doesn't mean that the mid-majors are going to be as powerful as the power conference schools, but it means that every power conference school has a better opportunity to be really good now than they had 5 years ago, because we're seeing the talent spread out. But it's just principles of economics. So, it's funny. Just take basketball for an example. 2 years ago, San Diego State and Florida Atlantic made the Final Four. And the narrative was the earth is flat now. The mid-majors can compete with the big shots. We're going to see a transformation in college basketball. And last year, all 4 number 1 seeds from major conferences made it to the Final Four. And the narrative was, it's over for the mid-majors. The rich are going to get richer and all that. Well, how is there that much change in 1 year? One data point doesn't make a trend. So I think we need to wait a little bit longer to make those grand pronouncements. But I think what we're going to see going forward is a little bit more stability, because you can sign players to long-term contracts, a little less transferring, because you'll be able to hold them to their contracts if the will is there to do that. and I think it'll actually make things a little bit better. But it's never going to be the same. And I don't like, to me, that's a good thing. But reasonable minds can differ on that. If people liked it better in the 1960s, great. But there were some problems in the 60s that went beyond whether players were paid or not. So I think there's a little bit of nostalgia to, this is different than it was when I was
this is going to be the most honest it's ever been.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
But look, the college sports has been chasing the money for a long time, and I don't have a problem with that. I have a problem with chasing the money and pretending like you're not, and that's what everybody was doing. There was this idea that look what we're offering, this great experience to young people and all, and that's great. They do that. But, with 9 o'clock games on a Wednesday and all this travel all over the place and playing more games, and they act like this is about academics.
11 a.m. football. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it was about money from the beginning, and that's fine. But don't tell the players that, hey, we're doing you this big favor while you're traipsing them all over the place and restricting what they can earn or accept.
Talking with Jay Bilas, all right, $20.5 million. Title IX, I just said there's no way women are going to get half the money. Now, maybe you alluded to everybody's going to get scholarships, but I don't know if Title IX says that. You can help me on that. But there's no way, zero, that women are going to get half of the money.
They may not, but that's going to be up to each school how they dole out their $20.5 million, and then how they want to act in the third-party NIL market. Title IX, to my understanding and my reading of it, does not suggest that everybody has to be paid the same or the exact same amount has to go toward women's sports as goes toward men. Does anybody think that women's coaches make as much as men's coaches? They don't.
Right.
And so there'll be challenges there, and there'll be lawsuits, and a lot of this will be worked out in the courts. And maybe that's.
But the attempt will be equal number of scholarships, I assume. Would that be the approach that they'll go with and hope to?
Well, women actually get more scholarships in certain sports than men do now.
But I mean, at a school, you give so many to men, so many to women. But
yeah, and there are mechanisms to stay in compliance with Title IX. I think a lot of Title IX observers will say that most schools are not in compliance with Title IX provisions as we speak. But you can certainly devote the same amount of resources to men's sports and women's sports and all that stuff. It doesn't mean you have to pay the women's basketball players the exact same amount you pay the men's, or football players versus lacrosse, women's lacrosse or field hockey, things like that. So there are decisions to be made there. There may be some short-term decisions made where they say, hey, look, how many sports do we need? When I was in school, I think Duke had 13 varsity sports. Now Duke has close to 30. What's the right number? I don't know what the right number is. SEC schools have 18. And nobody seems to be complaining that that's unfair when the Ivy League has over 30. Like, what's the right thing? My thing is let everybody do what they feel is best for them. And if you want to pay your players millions, go ahead. If you want to pay them less, go ahead. Like, there's no requirement that everybody pays their coaches $10 million, their football coach. Everybody seems to be able to operate in their own space and say, this is who we are. And I think that's the same thing they should do with regard to paying athletes. You don't want to pay, don't pay. But let's get out of this idea that we should have a restriction across the board, because that's what got us into this mess, are these illegal restrictions that the courts finally called BS on, and the NCAA lost all their legal protections.
All right, you said $20.5 million. They're saying the top football teams are spending more than that. What is that inaccurate? Well,
they did before this, because it was done through the collectives and all that stuff, and you did it through the NIL thing. So that'll change a little bit. There might be a scenario where because of the $20.5 million cap that the schools can pay, players are seen to be making a little bit less, but you still have the third-party NIL space, and that's going to be the most interesting thing. Right now, there's a new enforcement mechanism where Deloitte is handling this as an independent third party, but to the NCAA. But each NIL deal is going to have to be blessed by Deloitte and enforced by this new NCAA entity to make sure that they're market-based. So it can't be this pay-for-play thing. But I think we're going to see that go the way of the dodo bird pretty quickly because, the House settlement didn't address that. And I don't think that's going to work. I think if somebody wants to pay a player, they should be allowed to pay the player. I don't care what it's for. They tell me all the things that, like all the questions that we have of players, are we asking those same questions of coaches and administrators? Like when the AD at a big-time school goes to play golf at a fancy club on a private plane with their donors, is anybody saying, hey, you can't do that? Nobody's saying that. And we're not policing what commercials John Calipari is doing at Arkansas or John Shire's doing at Duke. Nobody's asking what car they're driving or what watch they're wearing. But we seem to still do that with players. Maybe because it's so new, but I think we need to stop doing that. It's nobody's business.
So the bottom line would be you'd say the same thing before. Homer, be a little made different. Right? It's fine. People still love it. Long as they love it, that's what creates the money. And it would appear that people are still loving basketball, football, and other sports have started to draw some fans. And it's that simple, and it'll be fine. Is that?
I think it will be, Homer, but it sort of goes to this thing like for some reason when the players were deemed amateur, even though I don't think they were, but when they were deemed amateur, we had this sort of veil of purity over things and say, well, they're really there just to get an education. And that wasn't true. They're there to get an education and to play ball and to make the school money and make the enterprise money. So I don't look at it any differently that when a coach is making a ton of money, that do they not care anymore? Do they not care about relationships? They're just in it for the money. Do they not relate well with their colleagues in the athletic department? None of that makes any sense. Like education and money are not mutually exclusive. I think players still, whether they're now being paid, they still strive to be great teammates. They still want to win. They still want to have careers beyond this. The principles are basically the same, and it's just different. And I think a lot of people have a hard time wrapping their heads around it. They still work hard. All the values and principles of the game are the same. None of that's changed. And the things that get rewarded, like the championships and winning, money's not going to affect that. I don't have a problem. You go to an NFL game, people aren't sitting there going, well, that guy's making more than the other guy. This isn't fair. They don't do that.
But they're going to start doing that in college. They're not going to say overrated. They're going to say overpaid. Like this information is going to become, no, I know, fine. It's just, it's going to be different. This information about how much players are making is going to be public. Everybody's going to know, or is that premise wrong?
I don't know the answer to that. It may be public in public institutions. It may be private at private institutions. I don't know. And honestly, I don't care. Like if people want to chant, if they want to chant overpaid versus overrated, go ahead, because nobody really cares about the overrated chant. And if I'm making a bunch of money, I don't care what some fan says, because they were gonna be mad at me if I didn't play well, whether I was paid or not. I would rather get paid and have them mad, because none of that matters. It's like fans can say whatever they want and they can like whatever they want. I'm not trying to talk them out of it. But fair is fair. And this system has been not only unfair, it's been immoral and illegal for 100 years. And at least now that's in the rearview mirror.
All right, last question has nothing to do with college basketball, but you spent a lot of time working on the draft, and I have no idea if anybody's good other than Cooper Flagg. You looked at all these people, and he just dominated everything. So who else was drafted, or who else is entering the league this year that you would want to say, watch these people?
I would say Dylan Harper from Rutgers went number 2 to San Antonio. He's going to be a great player. VJ Edgecombe, who's with Philly, was taken, I think, number 3 by Philly. Mm-hmm. And then Trey Johnson, who was taken 5th by Washington, is probably the best shooter in last year's draft. There were a bunch of good players in that draft. Cooper Flagg took up a lot of the oxygen because he was National Player of the Year, and he had a lot of the attention. But I don't think anybody in the league thought that there weren't other players that were going to be truly outstanding in that draft. And the next one coming up this next year is probably even better at the top. But yeah, it was a great draft, and we saw, like, one of the things we saw is there were a lot more freshmen than we've had in past years that were drafted in the first round, and then in the second round you had a lot of older guys. Because a lot of players have been staying in school because of NIL. They're allowed to make money, and they're going when they're going to be drafted at a really high level or when they're ready. And that wasn't the case earlier. They were coming in earlier so they could make money. But now they're willing to stay in school longer, and that not only helps everybody's education, pursuit of education, but it also helps the quality of play in college to have them in school longer.
And what excites you the most about what you do?
I love basketball. So, my family situation dictated I couldn't remain in coaching. So it was the next best thing. I mean, I understand. I get it. I'm a broadcaster. I don't look at myself that way. I think of myself more as a basketball person that's enjoying the game and being around the game by being a broadcaster. But, I still run a basketball camp, still teach. I'm immersed in the game. So I guess the answer to your question is what excites me is I love basketball. It's to me, it's the greatest sport ever invented, with golf number 2, because golf allows you to be intoxicated and destroy private property. That's a good deal.
Yeah. You know John Anderson from ESPN. I know you do, right?
Of course. Yeah. John's a great friend.
Did you know, and are you surprised to know that he high jumped 7.2.5?
He might have fallen off of a fence that was 7.2.5. He actually got over a 7.2 bar.
John Anderson.
I did not know that.
And this is just wrong. Everybody who's at ESPN or anyone comes on, John Anderson, he high jumped 7.2.5. He gets upset when I bring it up, but that's impressive to me. 7.2.5.
That's incredibly impressive.
Yes.
I did not know. I thought he was just as earthbound as I was. That is incredible.
Yes, so tell the world. Thanks, Jay. And when you want to give us an update that needs to be done, please do so. I think it's necessary and it helps. I don't care what everybody else says. I want them to know because this is what they say. Homer, how's it going to be? I said, Jay Bilas says it'll be fine. That's the end of the discussion. So,
all right, brother. I
look
forward to coming back on with you soon.
You bet.
Thank you.
Bye. And I actually wanted to say the man who whooped Barney the dinosaur, Jay Bilas, but I don't think he really he doesn't care. But I think it's
not one of his higher accolades, I would think.
Yes, I think he doesn't view it as impressive as I do, or maybe it's not impressive. It's kind of an odd thing. Yeah, what was it like to take on all the defenders of the people with Barney the dinosaur? You can't do that. Next.
More of the Homer Hour coming up next on ESPN Wisconsin and the ESPN Wisconsin app.
Well, we're still dealing with a crash on 94 eastbound right about at Highway 164. The left lane is blocked with this. So now we've got delays stretching all the way back to before Highway 16. So keep that in mind. On the westbound side, we've got some pretty hefty traffic as well. Let's see, that's starting from about 84th Street through the zoo and stretching all the way to about the accident scene where it starts to pick up speed heading past Highway 16. Southbound on 41, backing up from just before Appleton Avenue all the way down to Capitol Drive. Northbound, we've got delays from Watertown Plank Road up to Hampton. Southbound 43, backing up from just north of Good Hope Road all the way down to Hampton, and then back on the brakes from about Locust all the way down through the Marquette to the KK River crossing. Traffic is brought to you by Comfort Awnings. Extend your outdoor space with a retractable awning or screen like I did with my friends at Comfort Awnings. Custom designed to fit your home. Get your free estimate at comfortawnings.com. And check out the TMJ4 Storm Team forecast. Tonight, mostly clear, cool, a low of 60 at the lake, 52 inland. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, evening storms possible with a high of 75. Tee off at Lake Lawn Resort's Majestic Oaks Golf Course. 18 holes lakeside in Delavan. Whether you're a pro or just starting, it's the perfect course. Book your tee time today at lakelawnresort.com. From the WTMJ Traffic Center, I'm Debbie Lazaga on 94.5 ESPN.
With Wilde and Tausch, you won't miss a play.
You start just listening and reading the tea leaves here. I don't think Watson's going to miss as much time. I would bet he's playing before Halloween.
Presented by Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin.
He's running, he's cutting, and yes, it's different. I get all of that, but he is highly motivated. He is going to push and push. This isn't going to be one of those, I'm going to wait till I'm 6,000% healthy.
Weekdays from 9 to noon on 94.5 ESPN, ESPN Milwaukee's YouTube channel, and the ESPN Wisconsin app.
James Imaging Systems, your local business technology partner. When Tri-City National Bank decided to optimize their print output strategy, they needed a resource with the expertise to recommend a solution. CIO Robert Prang.
And James helped us with that analysis of what our print consumption was and what we were doing.
The outcome of the James Imaging Systems Managed Print Services recommendation?
We ended up reducing down to about 97 total printers and copiers from 197.
The impact on your print output?
We eliminated over 500,000 pages a month of output that we figured out we really didn't need.
Month after month, that adds up to savings and value.
Oh, tons of value. Those numbers add up even when it's only a penny or so per page.
Managed Print Services from James Imaging Systems. AI-driven workflow automation, security enhancements, and digital transformation. To learn more, visit jamesimaging.com.
The NFC North Green Bay Packers are returning to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and you're invited.
At defensive end number 90, Lucas Hercules Van Ness.
Lucas Van Ness with the sack.
Coming to the all-new Cunis Hope Chevrolet of Milwaukee. Sunday, July 20th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. The Packer who strikes fear into quarterbacks throughout the NFL, Lucas Van Ness.
Lucas Van Ness bringing the pressure.
During this exclusive 2-hour meet and greet, color action photos of Van Ness will be provided free of charge. Or bring your own item for Lucas to sign.
Pressure and he's blasted. Ball is out. Still loose on the turf. Packers have it.
Ow. Welcome to Cunis Hope Chevrolet, your trusted, family-owned and locally operated dealership in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Say hello to the friendly faces and Lucas Van Ness, live at Cunis Hope Chevrolet of Milwaukee, 11100 West Metro Auto Mall Drive, just off I-41. Sunday, July 20th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m.
And he lost it. Packers recover.
Get ready to say goodbye to those bland seltzers at the ballpark. Carbless is proudly Wisconsin-born, crafted by real people. A husband and wife team who wanted better cocktails in a can. They're locally made and blissfully better. Carbless offers a bold, true cocktail flavor that's made for baseball fans. Available in fan-favorite flavors like lemon lime, black raspberry, cranberry, and mango. Bringing the craft cocktail bar to your seat. Refreshment that matches the energy of American Family Field is Carbless. Full of flavor, no sugar, and no carbs. Just game day bliss.
This is the Homer Hour on ESPN Wisconsin and the ESPN Wisconsin app.
If you knew what you know now, back then.
The best 60 minutes of the day, the Homer Hour. Generally, the Brian Bulaga Homer Hour. He's on assignment. And the Brian Bulaga Hour with Jason Wilde. He's on assignment. Want to thank Jay Bilas, and everybody should listen to that who's a college fan, and everybody who knows somebody else is just listen to what he says. I don't know how anybody can listen and not think it'll be fine. And yes, it'll be fine. Fans decide. When I hear discussion of it's all about money, of course it's all about money. Why? Because money is created only when people are entertained. Not money, they're trying to make money. No, you get money when you entertain people. If you don't entertain people, you don't get any money. And so that people decide. To me, it will be different when you know the guy makes $1 million and you know exactly what it is and what other people make. Will it make any difference? It doesn't seem so. It all depends on the fans. How do the fans feel? How do you feel? You still go to the game. You still follow Wisconsin, Marquette, even though the player's making $1 million, might be $5 million a year. To me, I view it more like they're representing the school. It's just hard for me to say that they're a student athlete, and maybe they never were a student athlete, but they're professionals representing the school. And but does it bother me? No, because just as Jay Bilas said, I've always thought they should be paid. And people have argued with me, and you can go back and look on Twitter how many years ago that, well, they get this, they get a college education, things like that. And I go, well, it's not enough given the amount of money that's being created. You know, you create billions. You can't say, well, we're giving you $100,000 a year. No, they deserve a greater percentage. And as he talked about, I don't know that it's going to stay that way. Plus, the discussion about $2.8 billion, by the way, the phone number is 1-800-990-3776. Just like, I'm fine. I don't know how many people knew how much athletes were making, and they're going to have more of that information. Maybe it won't matter, but I think there'll be more information out there. The $2.8 billion to back players to 2016. I know this. If I was done in 2015, I'm calling David Gruber. One call, that's all. What do you mean? The people from 2016 on get all this money? $2.8 billion? I get nothing because I played in 2015? Seemed to me you'll have a lawsuit over that. I don't know. And yes, they'll attempt to want to do things in Congress. The head of the NCAA right now is more a politician than anything else, but I would guess that that's probably going to fail if it ended up in court. I don't know. You'd have to go to the guy who whooped up on Barney and his peeps. 1-800-990-3776. $2.8 billion. Dwayne Wade, sorry you played before 2016. I don't know how they came up with that in terms of back to the number of years. $20.5 million. I'm guessing that the schools will just provide scholarships for everybody in some ways. You can do that. Then it's a question of where do you decide to give the money? And you're going to give the money to the people who play in the sports that create the money. I saw things. 1-800-990-3776. Again, talking with Jay Bilas and college athletes, you'll know, making $5. The story was out about last year. Cooper Flagg made like $26 million or something like that. If that was true, the majority of it was legitimate NIL. Majority of people got paid NIL and didn't really make what's an appropriate NIL if it was done. And Jay talked about they're going to have it's kind of the remaining NCAA. Well, if you say you got this much from NIL, you have to show me what you did, and your return has to be market appropriate. If you're making $1 million for going to see kids one day, or whatever, the Cooper Flagg currently, I'm sure, made a ton, and I would guess Caitlin Clark did as well, and from commercials where they earned the amount of money that's appropriate for what they were asked to do. But if you don't have that, you still had to find a way to pay your players because you had to compete with all the other schools. 1-800-990-3776. Pebble, you got our Discount Liquor Twitter poll question up?
Got it up right now, Homer, at the Homer Hour on Twitter, at ESPN Milwaukee on Twitter. Our Discount Liquor Twitter poll question: are you okay with college athletes making more than $1 million a year? Let me refresh the results here so we can get the latest update. 54% of the votes say yes, they're okay with it. 46% say no, they are not. Truth Speaker tweets in and says, legal free market, why complain about it?
That's why you got one vote. That's right. But that doesn't mean that other people won't feel the way. It'll be determined because it'll be more knowledgeable this year. Will the fan interest be the same? Jay says yes, and I would think it probably will. But there's no question that you're going to have some people that what they found attractive about college sports no longer exists or isn't believed to exist, if it ever did, as he said. But it's a different look. It's just different to look at a player, go, $2 million. He's a pro. Yeah. Next.
The hour is back after this.
Well, they're still dealing with a crash on 94 eastbound right about at Highway 164. The left lane is blocked with this. So now we've got delays stretching all the way back to before Highway 16. So keep that in mind. On the westbound side, we've got some pretty hefty traffic as well. Let's see, that's starting from about 84th Street through the zoo and stretching all the way to about the accident scene where it starts to pick up speed heading past Highway 16. Southbound on 41, backing up from just before Appleton Avenue all the way down to Capitol Drive. Northbound, we've got delays from Watertown Plank Road up to Hampton. Southbound 43, backing up from just north of Good Hope Road all the way down to Hampton, and then back on the brakes from about Locust all the way down through the Marquette to the KK River crossing. Traffic is brought to you by Comfort Awnings. Extend your outdoor space with a retractable awning or screen like I did with my friends at Comfort Awnings. Custom designed to fit your home. Get your free estimate at comfortawnings.com. And check out the TMJ4 Storm Team forecast. Tonight, mostly clear, cool, a low of 60 at the lake, 52 inland. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, evening storms possible with a high of 75. Tee off at Lake Lawn Resort's Majestic Oaks Golf Course. 18 holes lakeside in Delavan. Whether you're a pro or just starting, it's the perfect course. Book your tee time today at lakelawnresort.com. From the WTMJ Traffic Center, I'm Debbie Lazaga on 94.5 ESPN.
Ready to escape to a resort that has it all? The Island Resort and Casino is your total thrill getaway, where championship golf, a luxury spa, world-class gaming, and epic entertainment come together. Tee it up at Sweetgrass and Sage Run. Unwind at the Drift Spa. Dine, play, win, repeat. Go all in on an unforgettable getaway. Book your total experience today at islandresortandcasino.com.
The only thing that tops our selection is your savings discount liquor.
The Big Slide, barns and barns of animals, and all that food on a stick. State Fair is one of the biggest events of the summer, and we'd like to send you there. Compliments of Discount Liquor. Hi, this is Marie from Discount Liquor. Purchase any one case 30-pack cans of Miller High Life or any one 12-pack Leinenkugel craft beer and receive one free State Fair ticket, all while supplies last. But don't delay. Tickets go quickly. And I know you don't want to miss the bacon-wrapped bacon. Visit us today at 51st in Oklahoma and Milwaukee, and on Barstow and Main in downtown Waukesha. Discount Liquor, voted best liquor store in Milwaukee, again! See us this week for your free Wisconsin State Fair ticket.
The only thing that tops our selection is your savings discount liquor.
And visit us online at discountliquorinc.com.
Windows, windows, windows. You hear all about everyone's windows and how theirs are the greatest. I'll tell you, our windows are the best as well. Hi, I'm Eric Brown, owner of Siding Unlimited, and I'm right there with you. We've taken the most trusted brand in windows, Pella, and paired them with such an outstanding business that we will deliver results to you at your home. Siding Unlimited has won Pella's prestigious 5-time Pella Platinum Premier National Contractor of the Year award. Siding Unlimited is the company to install your new windows.
This is an ad by BetterHelp.
Workplace stress is now a leading cause of declining mental health, with 61% of the global workforce feeling it more than ever. You can't escape work, but you can take small steps to take care of yourself. A walk, some sun, a favorite song, and therapy. Ongoing support to build resilience for whatever your day throws at you. Balance is tough, but getting help shouldn't be. Visit BetterHelp.com/timeout today for 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/timeout.
The Brewers return from the break with a jam-packed week of action. First up, a summer battle with the Marlins, July 25th through the 27th. Come for the action, stay for Pokemon Go Day on Friday the 25th, and a Bryce Terang bobblehead on Saturday the 26th, presented by Wintrust, Wisconsin's bank. Then, it's time to battle back when the Crew takes on the Cubs for 3 games starting on July 28th. Get tickets for a week of Brewers action you don't want to miss at Brewers.com.
You're listening to the Homer Hour on ESPN Wisconsin and the ESPN Wisconsin app.
My thanks again to Jay Bilas. Everything will be fine. It's different, but it'll be fine. Why? Because whatever the players make, if people still enjoy it, they'll go and create Big amounts of money. They will also expand the playoffs because playoffs make more money. Yes. All they care about is money. No. They care about doing something that fans want. You can't make more money if you give people what they don't want because they won't go. So, yes, everything they're doing is a result of wanting more money because getting more money means you're giving people what they want. People want more playoffs. What have people discovered? Regular season's all waste. The regular season has now become the preseason, so it's all about the playoffs. You need to require something, I guess, to make the playoffs, but not much. The more playoff games, the better. Just like, Pebble, what do you think the chances are? I bet it was 20 years ago when I said to the NCAA tournament, the Homer 256. 256 teams in. The first two rounds, maybe you play at the home court or the home field or home court of the schools like they do in the women's basketball. Then you get down to 64, and you got the best 64. You don't have these smaller schools, and you might have more upsets. Some of those small schools, imagine. Yes, 264 number one. That's probably not going to be a close game. But then there's a second game, so now 206. I don't know how they would do it, but why? People like it. You're not supposed to like it. It's terrible the NCAA is doing this. They're just giving people what they want. How much better is college football versus back when you'd have a team being the national champion because they had the best regular season and then figure out a way to play the weakest team in a bowl game to stay national champs? Then it was two teams. Now it's down. Who knows how many are you going to go to?
Yeah, now it's 12 right now, so
yes.
We'll may go to 16.
Sure, but people like it because those games mean something. And yes, it means games in the regular season won't mean as much. Some, like you could pick, say you want to pick Ohio State, Michigan. That game won't mean as much in the regular season. Why? Because they're both teams are probably going to make the playoff. That's fine. It's still going to be a big game in terms of maybe where they'd be seated or things like that if you get to play at home.
And with no divisions, they could very well meet in the Big Ten championship game as well.
Well, and then they'll eventually have to realize to get rid of the championship games. Because then if it creates too many games, and I mean, I don't have to go over the rate. The Big Ten champion, the conference champions games are a waste. Nobody cares.
It's money. It's money for
again. They got to figure out how. Yes, if it creates more money, then you still have it. But you know, you will have. You know what you could have, Pebble? Teams not using their best players in the conference championship game.
Very well, yeah.
Because it doesn't mean anything, and we got to get ready. The longer the playoffs are, right? The more games you have to play. Why would you play your stars in the conference championship game? I wouldn't. It'd become like, oh, well, what's the point of playing anybody? What do you gain by winning the conference championship? Maybe a little seeding, but you risk players getting hurt.
That's true.
And you're having to play more playoff games. The key is they'll figure it out, and they'll act according to what's most important, and it will always be the playoff games. It was a nice run. It's over. Just like fireworks. Drones, just a matter of when, not if. Next.
More of the Homer Hour coming up next on ESPN Wisconsin and the ESPN Wisconsin app. All day, every day. The Carbless talk and text line is open for you.
First off, there is not one team that's on the fringe that scares me.
800-990-3776. The Carbless talk and text line. This is more.
Earth Justice is a national legal nonprofit defending the environment and people's health. Until justice stands for all, our lawyers will never rest. More at earthjustice.org/neverrest. Earth Justice, because the earth needs a good lawyer.
Hey, Jen Latta here, and as a client of the We Sell Group, I can tell you firsthand, Rob and Nick make the home buying and selling process easier. Right now, school's out, and that means it's the perfect time to list your home. The market is challenging and inventory is tight, but you don't have to face it alone. Rob and Nick are pros. They take the stress off your plate so you can focus on your family, your summer, and just breathe. Contact Rob and Nick to see what your home might be worth in this market. Connect today at wesell.kw.com. That's wesell.kw.com.
Escape to Lake Lawn Resort in Delavan, Wisconsin, where everything is better at the lake. Dive into endless outdoor activities, including boating, fishing, and paddleboarding on the serene Delavan Lake. Tee off at the lakeside Majestic Oaks Golf Course, or unwind in the award-winning Calidora Spa. Enjoy gourmet meals at 1878 on the lake, casual bites at the Lookout Bar and Eatery, and sweet treats at the Isle of Capri Cafe. Explore Delavan Lake's stunning shores and historic landmarks from the comfort of their 76-foot cruise boat, the Lake Lawn Queen. Book your stay today at LakeLawnResort.com.
Modernizing business technology is critical for a positive impact on efficiency and reducing operating costs. That's exactly what Tri-City National Bank found out when they called on James Imaging Systems. Listen to Bank CIO Robert Prang.
We also went through a large retooling of our print environment, changing from where we had almost 200 printers.
All the way down to just 97 printers. That's managed print services from James Imaging Systems, a 100% locally owned and managed Wisconsin business technology company.
So being able to work with a local company like James that has that flexibility with their staff and being able to deliver for us has given us the ability to make the right decisions for our organization.
Robert, would you recommend managed print services from James Imaging Systems?
Yes, in a heartbeat. I would recommend James.
Learn more at jamesimaging.com. James Imaging Systems, your local business technology partner.
Hey, Drew and Jonathan Scott here. Build a customized renter's policy with American Family Insurance so you can protect your tandem bike on the go. Thief! Oh, he is struggling with that two-seater. Life's better when you're under American Family's roof. Insure carefully, dream fearlessly. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Some exclusions may apply. Products not available in every state. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI and its operating companies. 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
Fisco is always there for your auto body care. When accidents happen, Fisco Auto Body on Forest Home in Franklin is there when you need them. Got a broken mirror? They'll take care of it. Dented bumper? Scratch paint? Fisco Auto Body will take care of it. If there's any damage you need fixed, Fisco has you covered. Their expert workmanship is guaranteed for the life of your vehicle. So stop in for all of your auto bumps and dings. Once again, you know the line. That's Fisco. It's Jason Wilde from Wilde & Tausch. Upgrade your industrial supply services with Lakeland Supply, your trusted ISO certified partner for custom packaging, shipping supplies, janitorial, and safety supply solutions. With over 40 years of industry excellence, Lakeland Supply is a proven one-stop source with over 95% of their products made in the U.S., and they treat their customers like family. Personalized service with a national reach. That's what Lakeland Supply does. Visit LakelandSupply.com to discover how they can make your business better.
Welcome back to the Homer Hour on ESPN Wisconsin and the ESPN Wisconsin app.
Get your vote in. The Discount Liquor Twitter poll question: are you okay with college athletes making more than $1 million a year? 55% say yes. 45% say no. As asked by someone, how can they be against it? I don't know. Must be a lot of people out there you can ask. And Jay Bilas, tell the world, ESPN Wisconsin app, everybody who follows college sports must listen. I didn't interrupt very much either. The Wisconsin basketball team that was so close to winning a national championship. Next.
Well, all the accidents have pretty much been cleared out of the way. We're just left with delays now. Eastbound 94, we got backups from just before Highway 16 to Highway 16, and then a little bit of back